Hi there, boys and girls! My name is Dwayne, and welcome to another episode of Stories from My Bedroom. I was just looking at some of my medals. This medal was awarded to me when I cleared an obstacle course.
Woohoo!
Do you have some medals as well? Today's story is about a champion who led just 300 men to conquer a massive army. This is the story of Gideon. Now, Gideon was from the weakest tribe of Manasseh, and he was the youngest in his family. People would pass him by without even noticing him. Now, at that time, the enemy, the Midianites, they were taunting the Israelites. They had stolen from the Israelites, leaving them with almost nothing. The enemies, they were very ferocious. Something had to be done. The Israelites prayed for God to raise up a hero.
Dear God, we need a hero. Please send someone who will save us.
God had heard the cries of his people. He had chosen a champion, Gideon. One day, Gideon was out threshing wheat. He wanted to gather the grains so the enemies won't be able to steal them. Just then, the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon.
Gratus. I'm playing Gideon. Oh, sorry, Gideon. God is with you, mighty warrior. Mighty warrior, you must be kidding. I'm the weakest and the youngest. The enemy has overpowered us. Who will fight for us? I'll be with you. I will help you kill all your enemies.
Though being the youngest and the weakest, God had handpicked Gideon. Now Gideon really wanted to make sure that God had chosen him. So he made a deal with God. He took a woolen fleece and placed it outside his house on the ground.
If the land around is dry, but the fleece is soaked with dew, then I'll know it's you.
The next day, Gideon went out, and to his surprise, he saw that the ground around the woolen fleece was completely dry. But the woolen fleece was completely drenched with dew. He could squeeze it all into a bowl. But Gideon, he was still not convinced. God knew that Gideon was genuine, and he just needed to confirm one more time. So Gideon asked for the opposite to be done. The woolen fleece would be completely dry, but the ground surrounding it to be wet and drenched. And do you know what happened?
God really answered me. The fleece is dry, but wow, the rest of the place is covered with dew. Check out the puddle behind me.
Gideon was convinced that God had called him. He started gathering his men and started to plan the attack on the enemy. But you see, Gideon had too many men. The angel of the Lord told him that he needed to send some back.
Listen, all those afraid to fight, please go back now.
So 22,000 men left and went home, while 10,000 men remained.
Gideon, you still have too many men left.
Are you sure? But the enemies are ferocious. And ferocious.
We have to cut the number of men so that the Lord's name will be glorified when you win the battle with a small army.
So Gideon obeyed. He brought his men to the waters to drink. Now those that bent over and lapped up water with their tongues like dogs, they were sent away.
I'm sorry, but I have to send you home.
But those who were alert and cupped water and brought it to their mouths, they were the ones that were selected.
You will come and fight with me along with the rest. I am at your service, Gideon.
So Gideon and his 300 men went to fight the Midianites. The Lord was good and continued to assure Gideon that he was in control.
Gideon, sneak near the enemy's camp while you overhear will encourage you.
That night, Gideon snuck into the enemy's camp and overheard their conversations.
Oh yes. It must be a sign from God. He will help us win.
That night, Gideon told his man to wait for his cue. And on his cue, his man would break the jars and shout, "For God and for Gideon!" With the torches in their left hand and the trumpets in their right hand, they would blow really loudly, "Bum, ba, ba," causing confusion all across the enemy's camp.
Are you ready? Ready.
When it was time for the guards to change shift, Gideon gave the cue.
Now!
Ba, 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 ba. The enemies came out of their tents. Oh, they were surprised, they were confused, and they started to turn against each other.
What's going on? You! I'm going to fight you!
The Israelites pursued the enemies and fought them.
For God and for Gideon, take that! I cannot see! And that! Out! Finally, take that! Yeah, we did it! Victory!
Well done, Gideon.
God had kept his promise and gave Gideon and his men victory over the enemies. From a nobody to a great hero that defeated the ferocious Midianites.
The end.
I hope you enjoyed this story about a boy who became a hero from zero.
God saw potential in Gideon. God saw a hero in Gideon. God called Gideon.
Gideon trusted and obeyed.
And from zero, God made him a hero.
That's right, boys and girls. It doesn't matter how little you are or how young you are, or even if people think you're useless. God doesn't think so. He can use you to do great things, just like he did with Gideon and his 300 men. Well, I guess that's all we have for today. See you again next time for more stories from my bedroom. Good night. La la la. This here.
Wow.
Not yet.